And the next presenter has just been acclaimed one of the next heroes, so let's wait and see for that. Cristina Ayats.
No pressure.
Not at all.
That's probably it. Oh, so you have it. So if I do like that, oh, I cannot use it?
Is that all right?
It's not showing up there. Oh, maybe I have double thing. Oh. Hello. Hello, everyone, and thank you to the European group and the Danish group for Lean Construction for offering me the opportunity to talk to you today. And thank you all for your time. I'm the last one, so you may are a bit tired of all this. So I'm gonna be really practical and try to make this helpful for everyone. We've been talking all day about leadership and collaboration, and my presentation is going to be about tools that can help us change that behavior. David Long was talking yesterday about how the important thing is to create the behavioral change. So obviously Last Planner helps, Target Value Design helps, IPD helps. I'm just going to give you a couple of tools that we used in the project I was in. I had the opportunity to work in the US for almost 2 years. One of them in the Cathedral Hill Hospital, the IPD project that David talked about yesterday. So I'm gonna tell you some of the secrets. Shh. Okay, so first, why do we need leaders to create collaborative environments? Really easy, really simple, because if companies look for their own profit, we don't get anywhere. It takes everyone to make the project successful. And leaders must create environments where collaboration allows companies to get a common objective. And I wanted to start with a game, and I'm gonna need 2 volunteers that will help me. So you, Alan, one, come over, pick an umbrella, and someone else, come on. One, I'm gonna pick it otherwise. Okay. So the idea is that I want you to understand that we need a common objective. I mean, if we're focusing on the problem, we'll never solve it. So when we're planning, we think, okay, I've planned it, I've done everything I know. If everything goes well, it should work. So the similarity would be, I'm gonna try to level the umbrella with thinking that if I don't move my hand and the umbrella doesn't move, the umbrella shouldn't fall. So what I want you guys to try to do is to hold the umbrella on your hand, level it without looking at it. However no. Sorry. So I want you to try to level it without looking at it, okay? Without looking at the umbrella. The basic says that if you're not moving, the umbrella shouldn't fall. No, come on. Yeah, so theoretically it should work, but it doesn't work. Okay, so the second approach we're gonna work is, I'm gonna try to level the umbrella by focusing on the problem. What's the problem? The problem is my hand and the umbrella shouldn't move. So if they try to level the umbrella focusing on their hands, on your hand, Adeline.
on your hand.
Okay, so this is the same that we're planning, and we're focusing on our work. The problem is me, 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 me. I cannot, I'll never get what I want, which is the umbrella to get stable if I do this. And the third approach is I'm gonna focus in the objective. The objective is the umbrella doesn't have to fall, so I have to look at the top. If you focus on the objective, it's way easier to balance the umbrella. Okay, so what I want you to it's easier, guys. Do you agree it's easier?
Oh yes, much easier. Thank you.
So that's what I wanted to that's what we want to get, okay? We want to get a common objective so we can work towards it, and it's going to be way easier. So what we need is an incentive plan. One of the senior project managers, the owners, told me that we need the incentive plan because everyone wants to collaborate until it gets tough. When it gets tough, people start stressing out, and then collaboration falls apart. Okay, so we need to create the behavioral change that will make them stick together. So if I ask right now, why do projects fail, we're going to have tons of answers. So I just selected 3 that I think that are the main ones, because we have different understandings of success, because we behave in a traditional way, focusing on ourselves, and because this is something important. Usually we block communication. We communicate between whomever we have to, in a way that subcontractors will talk to the contractor, but won't talk to the engineers. So what I think the solution is, and what IPD wants to do, but it's not only about IPD. It's about creating an organization, making everyone understand that when we're working towards a project, what we have to do is work together as if we were one company to develop one objective. If we're a group of companies, it's going to fail. So what I'm going to try to do is help you out develop this organization that will transmit the culture to every other company. So what do leaders have to do here? The leaders of each company need to create one organization, and how does that work? We need a common objective, as we've already seen, and we need to implement the tools that will allow teamwork. And that happens through collaboration, coordination, and communication. So I believe it's not about the contract. I believe it's about the behavioral change. It's about the mindset of our team. These are the subtle 5 big ideas. David talked about them yesterday too. It's collaborate, optimize the whole, work tightly, learning and action, projects as network of commitments, increased relatedness. The idea is that these ideas want to create a culture, want to empower the employees. The contract can help us set us the philosophy, but if we are working in a traditional contract, we can get that culture too. It doesn't need to be all about IPD and sharing risk. What I think, and this is Steve McCorney's, he gave a talk. You can find it in YouTube. It's about trust. We have to develop trust among the teams. And to develop trust, we need transparency. I mean, if we are working and we're hiding stuff from one another, we'll never have that trust. If we have trust, we work quicker, we reduce our cost. If we start working right away in something, we just try to run. We don't have that trust. We are trying to run, we'll do things wrong, it's going to be more expensive. So what are the things that we were doing, for instance, in the project I was on? I mean, traditionally, if the guy that puts the floor on has an issue, he'll call the foreman, he'll call the superintendent, he'll call the construction project manager, who'll call the architect and send the question. Then the architect will go backwards, and maybe he solved the question or he doesn't. One of the things at the Cathedral Hill Hospital is that subcontractors could talk directly with the design professionals. That doesn't mean that you get out of the equation anyone. Everyone is informed. You know, you keep everyone in the loop, but you don't have to wait all those approvals to get up the chain and down the chain again. We have to eliminate communication barriers. We have to work as networks. So this is something that also another one of the owners told me. They told me, you cannot create a rigid structure, because if not, changes cannot be made fast. In construction, changes show up really quickly, and what we need is the tools that will allow us to solve them as quickly. So another thing that if we have a project, we need a common vision. We need everyone to work toward that common vision. That image is of the project I was working in, and it's everyone trying to develop a common vision for safety. How do we do it? Everyone's opinion counts. So what this common vision usually reaches is that production, quality, safety, they're all the same thing, and we have to work them together as an entity. So what do leaders must assure? Leaders must assure that everyone's opinion is listened, that everyone has a voice. So up there we can see how we're brainstorming production ideas. And one thing that I loved is that every time someone said, we've never done that before, someone else challenged him and said, aren't we trying to do things differently? Just because it has done always like that, it doesn't mean that we have to do it like that. So teams starts challenging themselves. With this organization, what happens is that the people develop new roles. We are used to work in a way, but we have to change that mindset. For instance, some of the new roles that happen is that both construction and lead constructors and lead designers start applying, for instance, the last planner system, and they need to coordinate the team, they need to coordinate production, they need to coordinate safety, manage cost. All these new roles who were before you were only managing for your company, now you have to manage for everyone else, because we are being transparent and everyone is telling what their numbers are. So you create new positions. And again, it's about the responsibility. Everyone has to assume that safety, production, and quality are everyone's responsibility. So I want to switch a bit now. I don't know if any one of you knows which is the only industry who has never been in crisis. What do you think? You? Yeah. Yes. What do you think? Which industry do you think that's the only one that has never been in crisis? Which one? I don't know what you said, but I'm sure that's not. Oh, the oil. I don't know, maybe. But I think they've gone through various crises with setbacks. So the only industry that has always been growing since it was born is the video game industry. And there's a company I particularly like. Even in the .com, the video game companies keep increasing their sales. So what happens is that this is a video game company. It's called Valve. And Valve has had 50 employees when I first started reading about them, and today it has over 100. What Valve does is whenever someone joins, they give them this handbook for new employees. Before you get in, you go through all the hiring process, and then you're gonna come in, a week before you receive this handbook. If you start reading the handbook, it totally transmits Valve's culture. For instance, I love that thing. In Valve, you should sit with whomever you're working. So the desks have wheels. So step 1, unplug your cords from the wall. Step 2, move your desk. Step 3, plug the cords. Step 4, go back to work. You know, it's obviously everyone knows how to move a desk. But the fact that they say it in the manual encourages you to do it. And it goes like that. I don't know, it's like 50 pages, but they're really easy to read. I think everyone should take an eye on it. It explains you how they work, it explains you how they think, and it explains you what happens if I screw up. And there's this guy, should I launch? And it says, nobody has been ever fired at Valve for making a mistake. So this is the kind of culture that we are trying to encourage our team to have. And so is this only happening in the software industry? No. Some projects are starting to get their own onboarding manuals. You get to a project, you get new to a project, what do I do? How does this work? So you have these manuals where it's explained how the team works, where do you have to go, who do you have to talk to if you have a problem, what software do you have to install, what's the criteria to save your files. The project I was on, we had a new hire orientation. So everyone that comes to site goes through a 1 hour onboarding new hire. This means that no matter if you go to the office or you're going into the field, if you, the orientation is different, but you know what the safety rules are, you know that you're empowered, you've been told, first day, you know where everything is, you know how the project works. So what else can leaders do? They can help traditional silos disappear. So up in the drawing, we see traditional work. You know, I work here, you work there, we won't share information until it's done. Well, let's try something different. Let's try working together. Up there, we have that's a daily huddle for design. At the project I was working in, and this is the same thing. No walls, everyone working together in the same room. Another one of the things that people used to say there is, if we are an organization trying to develop a project, we shouldn't forget our organizational chart. Well, we have, we should develop a project chart. What else? We have to develop relationships. It's way better to be sitting beside the person that you're working with. But traditional co-location looks like the image up. You know, everyone in his silos, different everyone has its part. They don't share information. We should work like this. We should stop working in our company and work in our team without walls. So this is another project. This is a Skanska project in San Francisco too. You see, everyone is working together. Everyone is working with the people they are supposed to work. So co-location helps creating the bonds. Another one of the things is that information needs to be shared real time. What happens is that usually the architect won't release something until he's completely sure that everything is all right, and that no one can tell him anything because that was wrong. What happened in the project I was on, we had a common server, and every file had to be in the common server. You are responsible for knowing if the information you're getting, it's complete, or you're gonna have to go back, or you're just gonna walk to the architect and say, hey, this is what I need. Is this completed? So information must be shared real time, and we must lose fear of completing information. Okay, another one of the things is, it's very typical in Lean. One of the first things they do is this 10-minute stretch and flex. When they go out to the field, I think it's really important because it changes, it helps production get started. People are warm up when they start working, so their efficiency improves. But not only that, I mean, your company is paying some time for you to take care of yourself before you start working. It's a cultural change. Something clicks, you know, something makes you change, that the company is thinking differently about you. Okay, another one of the things we implemented. It's one thing. It's called they called it the Small Wins program. There's books that talks about 2-second lean. It's those little changes that make differences. Yeah, you've seen before I've showed before the daily huddle. Well, when we started doing that daily huddle, what happened is that the people walked in, but it was really disorganized. There was a lot of people in that picture, if you noticed. And what happened is that people didn't know what to say. People were afraid of talking. Yes, I'm on track. So what we developed, someone came up with the idea. I don't remember who he was. You see a bunch of Post-its orange? Each one has a number. So everyone that walks into the wall picks up a number. And you have to talk. Everyone has to talk. So you have your minute to say, yes, I'm on track. Yes, I have constraints. This is a small win. This is something that makes a huge difference, because from there on, the daily huddles were much more effective. But it's really tiny, the change we did. And so the small win program transmits, if something isn't working, don't wait for someone else to fix it. Just go and do it. One day we walked to the wall and there were the numbers there. Obviously, this organization works with A3s. Every decision must be taken with A3s collaboratively. A3s must be developed in a collaborative way. You cannot develop it on your own. And what I wanted to show with this is that there's a bunch of them. I mean, every decision made is recorded in an A3. Because it's really important for us to transmit why are we making the decisions we're making. Another really easy tool, it's a continuous safety improvement card. This continuous safety improvement card, when I first got to the project, they told me it's mandatory that every employee that goes to the field fills one of these continuous safety improvement cards per week. And I thought, what? I don't know what to say. I mean, how come I go up there and say what's wrong? I don't know it. So week 1, issue detected, nothing, everything looks fine. Week 2, same thing. And eventually, one of the weeks, I was walking around the project, I saw some nails in the floor. And I was really proud of myself. I got something to say in the safety card. So I filled the safety card and left it in the safety manager's desk. And he came around and he said, do you think that if there's nails, what you have to do is write it down and give me a card? I'm like, well, it doesn't look, now that you say it, it doesn't look that good. It says, well, you have the action taken thing. So you can feel, so you can stop production. You have to make sure that no one gets hurt. So a few weeks later, again, I was walking in the project and I saw that one of the rocks, the borders of the sidewalks was unstable, and were people that might get there, and it could be dangerous for them. So I called the safety manager and told him, hey, we have to solve this. People cannot be working under this environment. And he came and he said, now you've got it. You stop production, you make sure that anything happens, and then you fill the card and you tell me what you've done to solve the issue. What this does is tell everyone, hey, safety is everyone's responsibility. Tell what you see. Give them the opportunity to talk. Another thing we were doing is safety meetings once a week, every morning, to empower employees to talk. Okay, so how do these organizations that we want to create work their processes? Plan. So you develop the process map, you discuss it as a team, you practice with a mock-up, and then you get together and analyze lessons learned. And only then you have created the sufficient trust to install in the field really, really quick. So to me, success is impeccable coordination. So what are the things we have to take care of? We don't wanna fail. What problems can we jump into? Okay, so people hate meeting, and if the meetings are productive, if the meetings If they feel like they're wasting their time, we're not gonna do anything. So one of the things I like about this IPD project, but it doesn't have to be an IPD project to do this, is these rules. So when you read the meeting guidelines, which you can't, but maybe when Jacob passes the information you can. Well, these meeting guidelines, what say is there's no rank in the room. Everyone has an opinion. And if you go into a meeting and you have that in the door, well, your mindset changes in that meeting. Another thing that we were working is in the last planner meetings efficiency. We had a program developed we were working with because no one wants to sit in the last planner meeting and go through. We had, I don't know, 200 tasks a week. No one wants to go through 200 tasks. Yes, I did it. Yes, I did it. Yes, it's done. So we worked on that efficiency too with different softwares. The one we used was bPlanner. Okay, so when you get into the project, everyone needs basic training to understand what the culture of this project or organization we want to do is. Obviously, in the softwares we are using, how we are using them. It happened one day that I was facilitating the last planner meeting, and every week the same guy came without having said if he had or he hadn't done his tasks before coming to the meeting. So I went there and I said, do you know what we're trying to do? And for my surprise, the guy said, no. Well, really? So I explained him what we were trying to do, how the program worked. From there on, that guy always came with his tasks completed. There must be, everyone can improve the efficiency of the meetings. Okay, what's not last planner? For those of you that haven't worked a lot with it, last planner isn't about measuring anyone's reliability. It's about the team. If we measure someone's reliability, we are losing the trust. That person will hide his mistakes. It's about the team. What can't we allow? We cannot allow companies to track their individual productivity because otherwise they'll tell us the results, they'll hide the results. What happens is that they know that they're not, doing as well as they should be doing, but they're gonna try to hide it, this number here, if we do this like this, it'll look like we're doing okay, and we'll have time to fix it. I mean, they don't do it on purpose, they don't wanna fail, and they're sure that they're gonna have time to fix it, and they don't wanna let down the team. So they won't tell everyone, hey, our predictions aren't as good as they were. So what we have to do is we have to try to track productivity as a team, be open. If you have a problem, it's easier if we can solve it all together than if you try to solve it on your own. Give us the time to work on it. And again, another typical thing that people, when they're starting about Lean, they think, well, target value design is about, instead of waiting to have the whole building to give it to someone, I'm gonna, the architect to the contractors to make their estimates, I'll give him by floor. No, it's not that. Target value design and Lean design, they're about collaborating and getting everyone together to develop the drawings. So we can be thinking in everything, in things that otherwise we wouldn't be thinking until way down the road. So don't expect to see a change if you don't make one. If you don't encourage the behavioral change, it's not gonna happen. So that's my conclusion. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Cristina. Any comments? Anything that is new for you? Anything that is questionable? Yeah.
My name is Jesper. What is the big secret of moving people from working for the company or for themselves to work collaborative. Have you got some good tricks of making that movement?
So it's about, I think, it's about developing a common vision. So when you're talking about what this project wants to be, you get everyone together. Not only the owner, or not only the GC, or not only the architect have to decide what's the roadmap. So if you get everyone together and you develop a common vision, and then you try to transmit that culture to the last person, to everyone in it, I think that we can create one organization to deliver a project.
Steve?
Thank you very much, Cristina, for a very enthusiastic presentation. You definitely have the potential to become a hero. You made lots of points that also could be questioned, of course. And I'd like to continue in relation to the first question. You tell us that companies should become one organization, and that sub-optimization is not legal, should be avoided. But sub-optimization by the single companies. So my question is, if we replace sub-optimization with loyalty, is it not legal for a subcontractor or a company to be loyal to or an employee to be loyal to his own company, to his own firm, instead of being loyal to the project?
So that's one of the issues that the IPDs are facing, is that it's just what you're saying. But I think that is because we're still thinking in a traditional way. I think that being loyal to the project will mean more success to the project, and it will mean a better reward for every company.
Yeah, that's definitely a presumption that you have to make, that your own company will earn more money in the end. But in reality, that's not guaranteed. Decisions to be taken by the team can easily hit the single company by reducing the contractual value for the single participant.
You are totally right. The challenge here is that most companies, when they're co-located, they're feeling like that person is more of the project than on their own company. So I totally agree that's a challenge, and I honestly don't know how to solve it yet.
I don't know either.
Randi first.
I also want to thank you for the presentation. It was really nice. You also said something about that one should eliminate the barriers for communication. And what I heard was that it was mainly about getting people together in the same room. And I just want to comment a bit on that, because I've been on a few projects where we also used big rooms some way or the other, and I found out that it's not enough to get the people in the same room in order to eliminate the barriers, because people with different disciplines have different language and different perceptions of time and process and products. So actually it needs quite a lot of facilitation as well. Have you experienced anything about that, or do you have any comments on that? Yeah,
so it's not only about getting the people in the same room. Sometimes an email would solve the issue. It's just send it directly to whomever can solve you the issue, and let keep everyone else in the loop. But we don't do this, and we don't do this because of responsibility, liability, and the way it's said right now, our mindset. And it happens the same in the room. You can get everyone together, but if they think that they cannot say, what happened to me is that I used to have the weekly meetings with both the foreman and the production and the project manager. What happened is that the foreman says nothing. in that meeting because the project manager is there, and if he doesn't, and it was a subcontractor. We didn't have him under. He wasn't a trade partner in the IPD. He was a heartbeat number. So the guy was there, and he was quiet all the time. The only meetings where he actually said which were his real restrictions and how he really what were his problems to develop to be able to perform his commitments were the moments where the project manager was out. What did we do? I mean, it was a very powerful project, but we asked the boss of the project manager to please have him come to the phase planning, but not to the weekly meetings. So usually you have different, one of the things of the last planner is that you want the person performing the work to be able to make those commitments, but realistically in the pool plan and the phase planning, you are not gonna get the superintendent or the foreman there, and he doesn't have that vision, that productivity way of thinking. He's not a production manager. So what we usually do is that high-level planning with project managers and production managers, and then weekly and daily with foremen. And how did we eliminate the barrier? We eliminated the guy that, not eliminated, we just said, hey, you know, you don't have to come to these meetings.
Annette?
I actually, thank you very much for the very good presentation, and I actually want to comment on the previous comment, because what you say is right. You need, the corporate culture has to match with the project culture. You cannot separate it in lean. So if you have the project culture is lean, actually the corporate culture would be also lean, because otherwise you wouldn't choose this project team or the partner. So it has to fit. So, and both can actually impact each other, right? You can start in a project and then taking over to your company, or the other way around. But it had to match, I guess.
Yeah, totally right. I totally agree.
David first, and then you, Alan.
So my question refers to the point my colleague mentioned before. I don't know if it is working in practice. I know the system that you put all the stakeholders or the project members in one room, but I think that there's always a problem of how they're getting paid for the work amount they are doing during that time, and what is not just in that time when they are coming out of that meetings. They have lots of points to do, some people of them, but others less people. And what I know is you have to follow the aims of your company, which is earning money in the end, and there's no time to do things for free, to do work for free. And what I think and what I see in practice is that it ends up with in some mess or mistakes or whatever. And how did you see it in practice? How is it working?
So what I saw is that you're right, for construction companies or people in the field, planning makes no money. The owners are paying that people by the hour, but for the company isn't efficient. What we must transmit to the company is that long term, you're gonna see, we're gonna have a reducing the cost, we're gonna share the profit. But this is only in the IPD case I was in. How can we motivate? I don't know. But yeah, we have to keep working on it and try to find ways to incentivize with other kinds of contracting, so we can get everyone involved in the thinking and the culture of the team. If there's no incentive for them, it's going to be really tough.
I want to come back to a point that Steve Pepler made in the video that David Long showed yesterday. Steve was the lead designer on Cathedral Hill Hospital. I think I've got his name right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he was standing in front of the board, the blue framed statement, the triangle, on the 6th floor in the previous big room. And at the top it talks about being an advocate of the project. And the expectation that everyone will be an advocate of the project, no matter who they're employed by. Which I think comes to the point that you were raising, Sten, and the point that you were making. And one of the things that, if we're going to start doing this sort of thing in Europe, we need to think about is how we help people move from their parent organization to the project organization and then back into the parent organization. Because when you're co-located for even 6 months, and it's a really exciting place to be and a really attractive place to be, because there's a completely new way of thinking installed in that project environment that doesn't exist back in the home organization. Then we need to think about how we take people back into that organization. There's been a number of cases in California where people have left their home organization rather than stepping out of a project back into what they see as a backward move into a very old traditional way of working, and we need to find some way to enable them to continue that development in their next job. So I don't know whether you've got any thoughts about how we might help build those bridges.
No, I don't, and I totally agree. I mean, I've known cases too that the project ends or you're part of the project ends and you don't want to go back to a traditional organization. So yeah, it's definitely a new challenge. I mean, obviously changing the mindset is going to bring new problems, and I think these are those.
Mikael.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation. I am struggling with the problem. I have tried now several times to implement the A3 reports in different projects, and I think it somewhat links to the set-based design principle as well, because what you want to do is to sort of analyze opportunities, alternatives that could improve the project. But just as we just touched upon, there's often a fixed fee, and if I ask the engineering consultant could you just please consider, instead of conventional cooling, for example, you could use seawater cooling, or you could use the groundwater cooling principles, or you could use cooling from a supplier, and just make that analysis of these 4 alternatives and then tell me what's best in this project. I mean, he hasn't incorporated that in his price, and there have been numerous sorts of design questions that you could ask where you would like to just, could you please consider all these alternatives and optimize and put it into this A3. I mean, how are we gonna expect people to buy into that if they have a fixed fee?
IPDs are easy because you're gonna end up sharing profit. But traditional projects, I think that what we should tend to do is put it as a prerequisite. I am gonna ask you, I don't know how much, but at least 10 alternatives, or I don't know. If we talk it before, maybe we get that person to get engaged. I know we're gonna find things, and I'm not gonna ask you to change it, I'm gonna ask you to give me alternatives. And eventually, when you've done a bunch of works like that, you'll be able to know if you're gonna do it 5, 10 times or 50, 60, depending on the kind of project. And I think it's something that we have to say in advance, mainly to people that have never, because people think of Lean that they're gonna work less, and it's not true. I mean, you have to put things in, I mean, you have to put, in English, they say you have to put the dollars up front, you know, to be able to save them at the back. Well, this is the same. You have to put more effort at the front to be able to save it at the back.
And then the client would say, why do you need to consider all these alternatives? Just provide the right one. You're the clever consultant.
I think that was just something he needed to get out. And now for you, Janni.
I almost feel like a firework because I would like to comment on all the comments that have been now, because I'm working with partly the same as I introduced yesterday. But to concentrate on your presentation here, which was extremely interesting and nice. On one of your slides, you said that you did not believe that the contract was the issue for cooperation, or for collaboration. I don't remember which one of the two words you used. And now I know from my time at the Cathedral Hill that they applied the IFOA, where they were making these new ways of contracting each other. How did they continue that journey with the IFOA and contracting when they got into actual production? Do they still apply these thoughts? And then if that's what they did, why do you have that opinion that they don't matter? Because then you do have the new way of contracting that makes it possible. And then back to Annette's thing about that contracts are so important. So it's just, I find it really interesting that you say that it's not important when you have all the right conditions.
I don't think it's not important. I think it's not basic. I think we have to try to develop a culture. To me, the important part is the culture, the behavioral change. Of course, in an IPD project, it's going to be way easier. But just because you're in a traditional project doesn't mean that you cannot start applying some of these principles to try to change the behavior of your people. Of course, traditional IPD, I think it's way better. And the more people you get on board, and the more people you're capable of managing the administrative part, so they can be IPD trade partners, or second tier, if you can get them on board too, in the risk-reward pool, that's gonna be really helpful. I mean, if they have that incentive, it's gonna be easier. If not, we're gonna have to find other incentives. And I'm gonna put you an example. In Spain, it was a design-build project. And we were there, and and the guy says, it's my first implementation in Spain. And the guy says, I wanna implement Last Planner. I go like, okay, we have to get everyone on board first. I mean, bring me your subs. He was like, no way. How am I going to bring the subs? I'm like, what? So after starting a lot the project, this was a small project, but they were bidding a bigger one afterwards. And I say, look, this is what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, we're gonna try this one this way, and if it works, we'll all go together to the next project. In Spain, there's very little jobs right now in construction, so this is a huge incentive for every company. And they did it. It was a 4-week project. Originally, they thought they needed at least 6 weeks. They delivered in 4. That's their incentive to be together. It doesn't need to be a risk-reward member.
Alan, did you raise a finger, or did I just see a twitch? Microphone. Okay. Annette?
So I guess a contract, for me, a contract is actually a frame, right? Where it's written down how it should be work out or somehow. So for me, a contract is incentive itself, because what's written down, like people behave like that. And I mean, if you would have, on the one hand, real collaboration, like 100%, like how you define it in theory, you actually could say we don't need a contract anymore. If it's 100% collaborative, why should we have a contract? I mean, that's philosophy, right? It's not practical.
Any other comments? No, then I'll take one. You were talking about trust, and I think that the key word to all of this is trust. That's the way to create collaboration. It's the way to make people change their behavior and things like that. But when people say we need to establish trust, a trust environment, they say it and then they go on and they say that gives us this and this and this. How do you create trust? Because to get trust between people, you have to get mutual trust. And the problem is that you never know when you trust me, although I trust you, and do you really trust me, and so on. So it will always be something that people are thinking about, and are there something going on behind? How do you actually know when you got trust?
So the YouTube video from Steve McCorney, it's really good, and he says, trust cannot be established, it must be built. How do I think that it must be built? Through transparent tools. No one is going to trust out of faith. I mean, but if I'm seeing that's what you're doing and that's what you're going to be and that's your plan, I'm going to believe it. And that creates the trust, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a slow process and it has to be built. And you have to be really careful because if you lose it, it's way tougher to build it again.
But for this to work, don't we have to get trust quite fast?
So again, traditional delivery is more complex in this matter because you get the people involved way later in the project. One of the benefits of IPD, Alliance, and all these new kind of environments is that you have people at the beginning where mistakes are cheaper, and trying is cheaper. So you have all this planning time to develop the trust. By the time you reach the field, you run. So traditional ways.
Annette?
So I think it's also about reliability, to say, to stick to what you say. And of course it's taking us time. It's not done in a year, right? But if you learn during one project, oh, I could really trust this person. If you enter the next project with this person, it will be even better, right? So it's a long run, of course. It takes some time.
Alan?
I think there's another prerequisite for trust, and that's having a shared goal and a shared understanding of the way things are now. That creates the basis for having, creates the opportunities for having conversations and being open with each other. If I don't think that you're trying to get to the same place as I am, then I'm not sure that I'm going to share my heart with you. But I'm much happy to share my heart with you if we're both going the same place and we're traveling together.
Personally, I think that we will never get the extent of trust that we're talking about all the time. Even in a relationship that has been there for 40 years, there's periods where the trust is broken. So I think we have to accept that and then find ways to work around that. And I don't have the answer of how to do that. That's the question. But yeah. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, Sting.
Now, referring to trust, I just wanted to remind you that you are actually right now having a conference in the country that is #1 measured at the trust parameter. So indeed, in this country, we have very good preconditions for working trust-based. It would, of course, be interesting to compare how this works in reality, compare it with other countries which are further down the list. But I agree that trust is an important issue and that it's also have a business value because it lowers transaction costs in the organization. So definitely we should be working with this parameter.
Michael?
We just also need to consider that sometimes people are incompetent and they promise too much and they make mistakes, and therefore we need to have some sort of supervision and control and follow-up. I'm sorry to say. And forgiveness. Right.
There's been a couple of comments. Do you want to comment on anything, Cristina? No, not right now.
I mean, obviously, there's gonna be people that make mistakes. I think that the secret is that we need one of the things that the Lean philosophy says is that we all have to be quality control, safety control, productivity control. If someone fails, just don't allow it to get huge. Just help the guy out. Obviously, it's tough.
And I think that will round it off. Thank you very much, Cristina. Give her a hand.